Now I want to talk briefly about three serious ones. We're first going to talk about cancer, some of the more serious diseases. This came out in 1997. We had spent $30 billion on a war on cancer. This bill was signed by Nixon when he was in office. And despite 26 years of spending this $30 billion, researchers suggest putting emphasis on prevention. Now, you give me $30 billion, 1 year's time, I'll find you a cure. And why couldn't they find a cure for $30 billion? I mean, we only took $100 million to fly a man to the moon, put him on the moon's surface, pick him up, and bring him back. $100 million to do that. $30 billion, they looked for a cure, but they didn't think outside the box. They weren't really looking for a cure. They spent all their time looking for a better chemotherapy with your tax money, because that's where the money is. Well, during that time, every 5 years or so, they doubled the amount of money for research. The death rate remained the same. So they weren't looking in the right place, obviously, or really looking that hard. I know your doctors didn't tell you about this one. This one came out in October of 1998. There was a Harvard Nurses Health Study. It had 90,000 nurses, 20 years of data, and they could only use 15 years of the 20 years of data in the study for these 90,000 nurses, because for the first 5 years, there were not enough nurses using multiple vitamins. And what they found out was these 90,000 nurses who take multiple vitamins for at least 15 years can cut the risk of colon cancer by 75%. Are there any drugs that will do that? Is there a drug in the market that will cut your risk of colon cancer by 75%? No. How come your doctors didn't email you, call you up, call you, bring you in and say, look, here's something really remarkable. Just by taking one multivitamin every day, you can reduce your risk of colon cancer by 75%. Yahoo! Did they do that? No. I bet not a single one of you got any direct communication from your medical doctor telling you this. They read it in their journals, the Harvard Nurses Health Study. And whether you believe it or not, how many of you ever heard that a low-fat diet will reduce your risk of colon cancer and breast cancer and all kinds of cancers? How many of you heard that? Whether you believe it or not? Yeah. This is one of the American Cancer Society, doctors, the American Medical Association. Everybody says low-fat diets will reduce your risk of cancer. High-fat diets increase your risk of cancer. Harvard Nurses Health Study, 90,000 nurses, 20 years of data. They compared the rate of cancer in these 90,000 nurses, comparing those that had more than 50% of their calories as fat, which is a very, very high-fat diet, compared to those that had less than 20% of their calories as fat, which is a very low-fat diet. And if fat content of your diet had anything to do with the rate of cancer, the ones having more than 50% of their calories as fat should have a lot more cancer than the ones having less than 20%. I mean, that's real simple stuff, right? Well, this came out in March of 1999. It was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. Again, they compared the rate of cancer in these 90,000 nurses, comparing those that had less than 20% of their calories as fat versus those that had more than 50% of their calories as fat. They found no measurable difference. The amount of fat you eat in your diet has nothing to do with the rate of cancer. The amount of fat you eat in your diet has nothing to do with the rate of cancer. Nothing. It turns out the amount of fat in your diet has nothing to do with the rate of cancer. It's how you cook the fat. It's how you cook the fat. Not the amount of fat, it's how you cook the fat. This study came out in 1998, University of South Carolina. Big study. Study links very well done meat to breast cancer, and then later on to prostate cancer and colon cancer. Among women who preferred all their meat very well done with a doneness score of 9, where the fat was burnt, and it tastes very good, believe me, burnt fat tastes very good. I used to eat it when I was a kid. There was a 462% greater chance of having breast cancer than for women who ate their meat rare or medium. Not a 5% increase in risk, not a 50%, not a 100%, not a 200%, not a 300%, not a 400%, but a 462% increase in risk of getting breast cancer, colon cancer, and prostate cancer if you eat your meat cooked well done and eat burnt animal fat. Now, after tonight, you can't claim you were not informed. If you go home, you continue to eat burnt animal fat, whether it's in hot dog skins over the fire, you know, or you're grilling chicken skin and eating it that way, or you're grilling your hamburgers burnt. You know, I get people, I cringe. People, I want my hamburger burnt. I don't want to see anything pink in there. I want it burnt. I want like charcoal. They're doomed. Even God can't help them. You know, when you're that stupid, God can't help you. And when you're at the bottom end of the gene pool, He's got to let you go. Now, whether you believe it or not, how many of you heard that a high fiber diet will reduce your risk of colon cancer? Whether you believe it or not, how many of you heard that? Yeah, that's another one of those truisms that the American Cancer Society and your doctor wants you to believe. Of course, Quaker Oats likes that one, right? Low fat diet, high fiber diet. Harvard Nurses Health Study, 90,000 nurses. They compared the rate of colon cancer these 90,000 nurses, comparing those that had a high fiber diet versus a low fiber diet. They didn't like the results, so they threw in 50,000 male doctors. They compared their rate of colon cancer, the ones who had a high fiber diet versus a low fiber diet. Now they had 140,000 human subjects, and this came out in January of 1999. It was published in the New England Journal of Medicine, very respectable medical journal. 90,000 female nurses, 50,000 male doctors. They said high fiber diets don't cut colon cancer by any measurable amount. Zero. Nada. Eating a high fiber diet did not protect you in any way, shape, or form from any cancer. Zero. Why did doctors get so excited about a high fiber diet? Because it will reduce your cholesterol. That's because it absorbs everything that you eat, including minerals that are required to keep you from getting high blood pressure, osteoporosis, arthritis, cancer. And so people who eat multigrain breads for their toast and English muffins and pancakes and waffles for breakfast, people who eat multigrain pastas, people who eat multigrain breads and whole wheat breads and grind their own wheat and all that sort of stuff for their sandwiches, and people who eat whole wheat and multigrain bread for dinner, they eat whole wheat ice cream. I mean, you can go to extreme, right? They have a 500% increase in risk of all these other degenerative diseases which kill you. So by eating a high fiber diet, your risk of those other diseases goes up and doesn't affect your risk of cancer at all. The only thing that doctors get excited about, really, about a high fiber diet is it lowers your cholesterol. And does that do anything for you? No. Doesn't do a thing. You reduce your risk of colon cancer by 60 to 80% by eating dark berries, raspberries, black raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, black cherries, strawberries, according to the Ohio University. Big study by Ohio University. Reduce your risk of colon cancer by 60 to 80%. How many of you ever heard of trace mineral selenium? Good. How many of you heard that trace mineral selenium is a great antioxidant that can reduce your risk of cancer, whether you believe it or not? How many of you heard that? Okay, well, this has been kind of a recent thing. They're kind of growing crazy over selenium. In fact, the information on selenium really came out in April of 1912 in this very famous medical journal called Popular Mechanics. April of 1912. And this fellow here, Professor Dr. von Wassermann from Berlin, who went on about 10 years later to get a Nobel Prize in medicine, said that he had discovered a chemical substance that will cure cancer in mice. It turns out it's the trace mineral selenium. The selenium has a selective action against cancer cells but doesn't hurt healthy tissues. Dr. Wassermann believed that the cancer in mice were so similar to those in humans that he believed an important advance had been made towards the cure of that veritable scourge cancer in people. Well, this was April of 1912. We began to put the trace mineral selenium into animal feed pellets back in April of 1912 to keep their rate of cancer down. And this lay dormant for 84 years in human medicine and nutrition until December of 1996. When a study came out, it was a 7-year study done by Dr. Larry Clark, an MD, PhD from the University of Arizona School of Medicine. He took half of a group of 1,300 people, gave them 200 micrograms over 7 years, 200 micrograms of this trace mineral selenium every day for 7 years. And to make a long story short, at the end of the study, his final analysis showed that he slashed the occurrence, not the risk, but the actual occurrence of prostate cancer by 69%. Are there any drugs that will do that? Will doing a prostate exam and taking your PSA, your prostate-specific antigen blood test every year, will that prevent prostate cancer by 69%? No. He reduced the actual occurrence of colorectal cancer by 64%. He reduced it by 75% by taking a multivitamin. He reduced the actual occurrence of lung cancer by 39%, whether you smoke or not. About 90% of lung cancer occurs in people who never smoked. Smoking is not the cause of lung cancer. It's inhaling all the fumes when you fry food is the biggest single cause of lung cancer. All those free radicals coming out of that margarine you're frying with. How could Ruth get lung cancer? She was a good church-going lady, never cussed, never even hung around smokers. How did she get lung cancer? But she was there early, every noon after church, frying food for everybody. Oh, the best part of the story is, 2 months after this result came out, Dr. Larry Clark died of prostate cancer at age 52. Now, why did that happen? Well, because he had set this study up to show that selenium didn't work. He hated selenium. He set the study up to prove that it wouldn't work, and he wouldn't take it. And the sick part about this is, he was a professor of medicine at the medical school at the University of Arizona, so he taught his beliefs, all the medical students there. And when he died of prostate cancer, they all said, oh, what a tragedy, and then went on avoiding selenium. They'll tell their patients not to take selenium. This came out March 6, 2002. Study says a diet rich in tomatoes can cut the risk of prostate cancer, raw tomatoes, by 24 to 36%. If you eat tomatoes cooked, 1 serving a day of cooked tomato will reduce your risk of prostate cancer by 52 to 60%, because there's an antioxidant in tomatoes called lycopenes. Lycopenes. I love this when it came out in September of 1998. Call green tea the cure-all of cure-alls. Why is that important? Why do we have 85% more cancer than the Japanese? Well, our national drink is Coca-Cola. Their national drink is green tea. And green tea contains an antioxidant, catechins, or EGCGs, that are 100 times more potent than vitamin C in neutralizing free radicals. Catechins and EGCGs in green tea are 100 times more potent than vitamin C in neutralizing free radicals. And perhaps 100 times more potent than vitamin C in reducing your risk of cancer.